Hi, it's Chris here from the EQ Mod project. In this video we're going to look at EQASCOM movement strategies, particularly when applied to moving with limits enabled. Now, as you can see, I've already got EQASCOM connected, and I've got a live video capture of my mount. Limits are currently enabled, as you can see from the dials. The little yellow markers are showing where my limits are currently set. Now, when limits are enabled, essentially all normal movement will occur between those two limit points. You can't instruct the mount to go to a position outside those limits. Certainly if you were to do so, as soon as the mount starts tracking, the limit protection would kick in and stop the mount. So these limits really dictate the range of right ascension movement that is permitted. Within this range, all movement is implemented as a simultaneous right ascension and declination slew. So both the right ascension and declination will move simultaneously. The exception to this is if you want to park. Now, a parking position can be anywhere, and you can have your parking position set outside the limits if you wish. Okay, so currently the mount is in its home position. I've got some predefined parks that are set that will take the mount beyond these limit positions. Okay, so if I select my Park Demo 1 position, I'll see where that goes.
Parking.
So what's going to happen is initially the slew will be in right ascension and declination. You can see both dials are changing. And this will continue until such point as the right ascension hits its limit, in which case the right ascension movement will stop. You can see the declination continues until it goes to its target position. And once that happens, the right ascension will then continue to move to its final target destination. Now, this is similar to what happens when limits are off, in that movements beyond the limit point only ever occur in right ascension only. So the mount always approaches that park position with only movement in right ascension. So no matter where you're moving from, the approach to the park position beyond the limit point is always exactly the same. And that can be important when moving to these particular positions. I mean, this one is fairly close to my mount. If I was at any other declination, there might be a risk of a collision. So it's not safe to move the declination axis once I'm beyond that limit position. Okay, if I select my other park demonstration position and unpark, and then park to it, this is going to flip the mount round to a position that's on the other side of the mount. So initially the movement will only be in right ascension until it hits that limit point. At this point you have simultaneous right ascension and declination movement, which is what it's doing now. And this will continue all the way around until the right ascension hits the limit on the other side. Which is this point here, in which case it stops, the declination continues to move to its target declination, and once it gets there, the right ascension will make its final approach to the park position.
Parked.
Okay, so hopefully you can see how the limits affect the movement. It's quite similar to what happens with when limits are off, except that the point at which the right ascension stops to allow the declination to go to its target is the limit point as opposed to the horizontal position. When limits are on, any flipped go-tos that you might wish to initiate will always occur within the limit boundaries. As a consequence, all flipped go-tos occur as simultaneous right ascension and declination movements, and you can't issue a flipped go-to to a position outside these limit points. If you want to do that, you have to remove the limits. Okay, that concludes this demonstration.